This is Jay Swick from Absolute Sublime Reviews, and I'm here with Ray Wise, the star of the new sci-fi action comedy film Big Ass Spider. First off, let me say thank you for doing this interview.
You're welcome.
Could you tell us about Big Ass Spider, what it's about, and your role in it?
Well, Big Ass Spider is about this experiment that the Army was doing, the U.S. Army was doing, a kind of a genetic experiment, biological, and a small spider was exposed to a certain biological process, and which amplified its growth and a very extreme growth pattern, and the spider gets huge and causes a lot of trouble in Los Angeles. And I play a military man, an officer in a very special unit of the U.S. Army who handles these strange occurrences. And I come to Los Angeles with my group and to handle this big-ass spider.
All right. And how do you like starring in horror movies, since you've acted in a few of them now, and Big Ass Spider does have some horror elements?
Yeah. I like it a lot. You know, I love to be titillated, and I love to be, scared and watching a film and even acting in it. When I did Jeepers Creepers 2, I played this farmer going after the creeper, and seeing that creeper scared me as I was making the movie. And Big Ass Spider, just imagining the size of that spider climbing up a building like King Kong was enough to give me a little shiver up my spine. So yeah, I enjoy horror movies a lot. I like the monster movies, and I like also the psychological horror films that are much more subtle. So I'm all over the map when it comes to horror. I think I don't particularly have one favorite over another.
And I also want to ask you, did Big Ass Spider remind you of the movie Infestation, which you also starred in, since it's a giant killer bug movie as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those giant bugs were from outer space, and they came down in their hive, and I had to battle them, and eventually was instrumental in blowing them up. And yeah, it's very, very, very similar. That whole kind of a man against something foreign and alien and big and menacing, and yeah, the similarities are there, and I like that kind of special effects acting, because in that film, Infestation, of course we were doing it. We couldn't see any of the insects. They all came in later in the post-production CGI stuff, and so we had to use our imaginations and focus, and it was a very intense experience, as was Big Ass Spider.
And how did you like working with director Mike Mendez and the rest of the cast and crew?
Yeah, I love Mike. I think he's a very fine filmmaker, and I think he should be, he should do much more in the future. I hope that he's able to latch on to a little bigger budgets, because he can certainly handle it. He's a good filmmaker, and he was just wonderful on Big Ass Spider. He had time restrictions and he had money restrictions, but he got the most out of what he had, and I think it's all up there on the screen. He did a fine job. I couldn't speak higher of a director, really.
And speaking of the CGI effects, do you find reacting to something that isn't physically there more difficult while acting?
No, not really. Of course, it would be better if it was there. As I said in Jeepers Creepers 2, that I could see the creeper, and he looked marvelous even from 2 feet away. So, but then you have to imagine this big ass spider, and I just have a little loop that I play in my head where I see the scene in my mind's eye, and I see what that spider looks like, and I can imagine him crawling up that tower in downtown Los Angeles, and I can focus in on that and make it a very, very intense experience for myself. I just run that little loop in my mind, and it's what actors do. They run loops in their mind.
And you've been in so many iconic TV shows and movies, and had so many great roles. What role are you most recognized for?
Well, I guess it would have to be Leland Palmer and Twin Peaks. You know, Twin Peaks was groundbreaking American television that was watched all over the world. And you know, I made movies all over the world, and everywhere I go, they know me as Leland Palmer, which is the character I played on Twin Peaks, and so it had a great effect on the culture, the world culture, really. I think it played in over 70 foreign countries, and I remember I went to make a film in Romania with Robert Englund, and they all knew me from Twin Peaks, and they all knew Leland Palmer. So it had a great effect. But also I played other roles like Dr. Alec Holland in Swamp Thing, which was an original DC comic, and then I play, of course, the Devil in Reaper, which was a television series on the CW network for a couple of years, not too long ago. And those three roles in their particular genres were very big for me.
We have time for one more question.
Okay. All right. If you could leave us with your overall thoughts on Big Ass Spider and why people should check it out.
Well, you know, I think Big Ass Spider is a very well-made film. I think Mike Mendez got a lot of bang for his buck. Greg Grunberg and Lombardo Boyar are an extremely good acting team with a great rapport, very funny, and I didn't do too bad with them myself. And we had a great time making that film. And I've seen it now a few times on the big screen and little screen, and it's very effective. I was very pleased with the way it turned out, and really quite surprised at a lot of places that it turned out as well as it did. And so I think it's a very enjoyable film, and I think people are going to like it a lot.
All right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Wise, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
All right, man. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this interview, and I hope everyone's doing well. Take care.
Sublime, sublime.